Dr. Shalita Mira, and I am the owner and founder and clinical director of the Heart-Centered Journey Counseling, Coaching, and Consultation. I am a psychologist and licensed clinical social worker who specializes in mental wellness and building resilient and healthy marriages. Oftentimes, we find ourselves involved in relationships that have unhealthy dynamics or relationships that are unhealthy altogether. Entering a relationship takes preparation, and if we would take the time to pray and explore both God's expectations and our expectations, we can then come into alignment for what we desire in our mates. Much of what I see in the journey of relational management is the presence of unmet expectations. And more often than not, it is individuals who are not even sure as to what it is they expect out of a relationship because they never took the time to define what a healthy relationship looks like. This list is in no way all-encompassing, but it does include some attributes that we should look for in helping to define our healthy relationships, or maybe even cultivating and growing in our own relational dynamics. So I hope that you will enjoy this overview of 9 healthy relationship attributes and look forward to future videos where we will discuss each attribute more in depth for your use, knowledge, and personal growth. Attribute number 1 is selfless listening. We must understand that communication is not an argument nor a debate, but communication is a dialogue, which means 2 persons cannot speak at the same time. Selfless listening requires that 2 individuals engage in the process of dialogue, but one person is actively in the role of the listener and one person is actively in the role of the speaker. Allowing for this exchange gives the individuals involved ample time to express thoughts and feelings in a way that helps to resolve conflict, identify solutions, or even express feelings. What we often see in relationships is 2 individuals who are trying to usurp their thoughts and feelings onto the other person, and the other individual is not in a space where they can selflessly listen. Selfless listening means that I am not listening to respond, but I am listening to understand, because engaging in this conversation with you is important to me, and it is an expression of love. Attribute number 2 is calm communication. We all know that tone is important. In fact, tone is its own method of communication. We filter our understanding not only by receiving what is being said, but also through tonal inflections. Tone communicates emotions. We often hear not what you said, but how you said it. So when we speak calmly, when we monitor our tone and remember to communicate effectively, then we're able to engage in respectful dialogue, understanding that our tone is important. The next attribute we're going to discuss is about holding space for each other. Holding space for each other is all about permission. You see, love grants a safe space to express feeling and emotion without judgment, practicing grace, holding space for mercy and forgiveness. So when we're in the action of dialogue or even just being around one another, there's a safe space for us to show up and to simply be. That is what it means by holding space for one another. And this leads to our next attribute, which is the attribute of trust. Trust, strong trust, is the character, strength, or truth of someone or something, right? Honesty is so important in relationships, but it must be reciprocated on a continual basis. Trust is built on the foundation of hope and transparency and accountability. I need you to know that secrets kill relationships. Why do secrets kill relationships? Because there is an area of the self that is hidden. When we show up, we're not showing up in the truth and reality of who we are, knowing that there's a part of ourselves that we are not willing to share with the one that we love. Secrets, they hide the dimensions of authenticity, and they mask areas where we need to express and practice more vulnerability. When we lack the transparency and authenticity, what happens is we prevent the flow of unconditional love. It is unconditional love that encourages affection and expressions and behaviors that promote intimacy. We must build strong foundations of trust. And guess what our next attribute is? It is that of authenticity. Authenticity in relationships. You see, relationships require agreement. And agreement can never exist if there is not authenticity. In fact, Amos chapter 3 presents the question, how can two walk together except they be in agreement? You cannot love who you do not know. You cannot love unconditionally the person that you know only in part. So it is important that we cultivate and create these spaces where we can show up in the truth, even vulnerability of who we are in that moment. Knowing in part is not being fully known. We must stop loving individuals for who we think they are and get to know who they really are, their truth, their vulnerability. We need to know them wholly, and that requires authenticity. When you feel that love is unconditional, you are able to rest and to laugh and to courageously experience adventure. Adventure often leads us to these places of exploration of places that we've never been before. And of course, with that exploration is going to come varied experiences of emotion. When we're in a space where we have healthy relationship attributes, we know that we can experience whatever feeling or emotion in that moment and know that the individual whom we're sharing that adventure with is going to love us unconditionally. I give you an example. I do not like heights. And so if I'm going over a bridge or over a high overpass, there are some dimensions of me that don't look like I would like for them to look. There may be some anxiety, there may be a little bit of irritability, there may even be some shaking, some discomfort. But when you're in a healthy relationship, you know that you can simply be and experience the fullness of your emotions even while you're in that space of adventure. So know that when you feel the love is unconditional, it creates a space for you to rest, to laugh, and to courageously experience adventures. We're almost to the end of our exploration of these healthy attributes, these attributes of healthy relationships. But we have two more left to cover. One is empowering love, and the other is clear commitment. Empowering love is a type of love that motivates vulnerability and growth and change because of its faithful presence. When I know your love won't change, it empowers me to take healthy risks, to know that love doesn't shift if I perform or do something and maybe I don't do so well at it, or maybe even if I fail. Your acceptance of me, your love for me, does not wax and wane based on my performance. So love should be empowering. In a healthy relationship, there are empowering aspects of love. And lastly, there should be clear commitment. We live in a very conditional society, and there is an increased rate of what we would call transactional relationships. We enter into agreements, we enter into relationship based on a set of expected rewards or gains. But what happens in transactional relationships is the reciprocity of the love and respect and the positivity and the empowerment and even some other healthy dynamics only exist as long as conditions are being met. But guess what happens when those conditions are no longer being met? When those conditions are not being met, there is a prevalence of retreating from the relationship. Meaning that because I'm no longer gaining what I expect to gain, I abandon the relationship. But in healthy relationships, there is a positive response when conflict arises. Because I'm committed to this relationship, that means that even in the face of adversity, I understand that I'm committed because there's a covenant. Commitments are important. And remember, commitments are birthed from covenants. We will explore this particular healthy attribute later on in our series, but I want you to understand that commitment, not conditions, drives healthy relationships. I hope that these 9 attributes will help you to build healthier relationships on your heart-centered journey. Many blessings from my family to your family as we grow and become more empowered in walking this journey together as image bearers of God in covenantal agreements with one another. Have a phenomenal week.